I'm Maeve Houston, and I am head of research, user research for Amazon Audible.
My name is Arlene Isaacs-Lowe. I am global head of corporate social responsibility for Moody's Corporation and president of our foundation. So actually, I, until last year, lived in London. So I had walked through the festival last year, but I didn't really have an appreciation for the extent of it. And the way that I'm here this year is through India Gary, who provided the invitation. And it is really a very different perspective to be a part of the festival and to understand the intersection between women in various disciplines and functions, and how powerful that can be in terms of collaboration on the aspect of female empowerment.
So my connection to WOW is very similar. It's through India Gary. And what's interesting for me is that since I'm connected in STEM, I've done a lot of women's conferences specifically around STEM. So in the United States, we have a conference called Grace Hopper for Women in Computing. But this conference is a little bit different for me in that it's kind of about the whole self of a woman and all aspects of womanhood. And that's something we don't often get at these tech conferences. We try to include some of those things. So when India told me about this conference and I did research on it and on Jude Kelly and how she founded it, I was extremely excited because I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to kind of see the differences in the two and then also work with India to bring WOW to the United States at scale.
It's fair to say that it would be unusual for women who have ascended to positions such as ours, to have not experienced some level of bias. I think that the challenge and part of the journey is how you handle those challenges and react to them. And so for me, and I think one of the most significant aspects of my career journey, particularly early on, was, and as a black woman and a black woman of Caribbean descent, the aspect of, always being your best. Because I think for most of us, your parents have always said, you have to be twice as good just to be at the table. And the other aspect of it is to be accomplished from an educational perspective. And so no one can sort of question your ability or your expertise because you've done everything that you were supposed to do.
I think, at least in STEM, it's the fact that there aren't as many women in leadership positions to look up to. There are a lot, but when you kind of look across all of the various companies, we're a very small percentage. And so we have a saying, if you can see it, you can be it. And so if you don't see it, then that can sometimes be really, really difficult. And so I think that's one of the largest barriers, is not seeing women getting ahead, and then possibly seeing some women who get ahead who then don't necessarily acknowledge the difficulty in getting there. So sometimes it can be really challenging when you see a powerful woman leader and she's not highlighting the reality that you're in at that moment, right? And so when you're sitting there struggling and she's saying, oh, it's either you just do these things, and you're facing, completely different obstacles, that can be very demoralizing. And so I think getting together and sharing authentic stories is really, really important. Well, I love to talk. So I'm now at Amazon Audible leading research for them, but previously I was at Capital One. and I founded their user experience research program. And it started off as something that was going to be small. At least that's what they thought. I thought something else. And so growing that from one research lab to 9 across the country was probably one of the biggest highlights of my entire career, because the labs became this beacon for innovation, and I grew this global team.
I think, for me, it would be to take more risk early in your career. I think, understanding sort of how to meld your passion and your expertise is a powerful tool in regards to actually your career progression. Because if you can integrate those two things, it is a recipe for success.